And now, marine weather around Alaska.
And for tonight, we've got not much going on over the interior. Here's some light snow with diminishing west winds there for the eastern Arctic coast, but light snow extending all the way back there to the west side. Basically dry over the interior, increasing snow here with, well, from about the lower Yukon River Valley down into some shower activity over Bristol Bay, the western Alaska Range. And easterly flow keeps a damp Kodiak Island on up into southern Cook Inlet, Kamishak-Kachemak Bay area. Dry over the east side and some breezy conditions out over the Aleutians, but generally dry out there. Next system bringing wind and rain into the southern panhandle late tonight. And tomorrow that tracks northwestward again off the coast. So breezy with rain, heaviest over the southern areas, especially along the south coast, lighter to the north. Trough here bringing 1 to 3 inches of snow from the Kuskokwim Valley northward, lightening up though as you get across the Kobuk Valley to the western Brooks Range. And then mixed precipitation, freezing rain possible in the central Kuskokwim Valley, and rain and snow showers down into Bristol Bay. Dry south central Alaska in the eastern interior, and pretty breezy here over the Aleutians. Could see gusts 40, 45 miles an hour or so, give or take here. Nothing too terribly strong, but much lighter winds out to the west under high pressure. And then on Monday, pretty snappy low pulls northward here, and it's a fair distance off the coast, but that'll bring increasing wind, probably gale force winds along the south coast, possible gusts 50 miles an hour or higher there, with rain increasing and some precipitation on the light side with light winds for the North Gulf Coast. Dry over the interior. An Arctic front up here, kind of stationary, keeps a chance of snow across the north slope and into the Chukchi Sea and the Bering Strait area, as well as mostly western St. Lawrence Island. Dry over the interior here, dry over the southern Bering Sea with high pressure, and then a chance of rain out there to the west ahead of the next system. And for the coastal water forecast, south coast, east winds 25 knots, higher gusts. East-northeast 20 to 25 knots on the central coast. North coast east-northeast 15 to 20. Lynn Canal, north winds 15 knots. Stevens Passage, northeast at 15. And northwesterlies at 15 with 4-foot seas for Clarence Strait. And then on Tuesday, gale warnings coming in with that next front, ahead of the warm front there, with the main low again well off to the west. But 35 knot southeast winds, seas just under 20 feet for the south coast. Also gale warnings developing for Clarence Strait, southeast 35, southeast 20 with higher gusts for Stevens Passage. Lynn Canal, south at 15. And the central coast here, east-southeast 25 to 30 knots, and east-northeast 20 knots for the north coast. Prince William Sound, northeast winds, Monday 15 knots, seas 2 feet, 15 to 20 knot northeasterlies here for the eastern North Gulf Coast. And western North Gulf Coast, Kamishak Bay, Barren Island, southern Cook Inlet, east-northeast winds at 30 knots, northern Cook Inlet, north at 20, seas 5 feet. And then for Tuesday, Cook Inlet, north winds 10 to 20 knots, northwest 25 knot winds for Kamishak Bay, north at 30 for the Barren Islands, north winds 15 to 20 knots for the North Gulf Coast, and Prince William Sound, north 15, seas 3 feet. Kodiak Island, Monday, northeast 20 to 25 knots. Northeast at 15 there for Bristol Bay. And then for the Alaska Peninsula, north winds 20 to 30 knots with seas up to 10 feet. And for the day on Tuesday, not much change for the peninsula here. North to northwest winds 25 to 30 knots with seas 6 to 12 feet. North at 20 for Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, north winds 20 to 25 knots. Fox Islands tomorrow, north winds 35 knots. That's good for gale warnings there. And 30 knot northerly winds for Adak and Atka, becoming lighter as you head west there. Kiska to Shimia, northwest at 15 with seas around 10 feet. And then for the day on Tuesday, in the afternoon, these winds picking back up, Kiska to Shimia, south to southeast 30 knots. Otherwise, Adak and Atka, west at 20. And for the Fox Islands, north to northwest winds, 25 to 35 knots. For the southwest coast, for Monday, north winds 20 to 25 knots, north 25 for the Pribilof, seas 8 feet, northwest 20 for St. Matthew Island, and for the St. Lawrence Island area, north at 25, Norton Sound north at 15. For the day Tuesday, Norton Sound, St. Lawrence Island up here, northwest winds at 20 knots, seas 4 feet. And north to northwest winds for the southwest coast, 25 to 30 knots. Northwest 20 for the Pribilof, seas 7 feet. Southwest 25, St. Matthew Island. And for the Chukchi Sea here, north to northeasterlies Monday at 10 to 15 knots. Light northerlies at 10 for the western Arctic coast, west 15 for the central coast, and west winds 25 knots for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And then those kind of become a little squirrely there, variable 20 to 25 knots there. Demarcation point area of that to about Barter Island west at 25 continuing, west 15 for the central coast, and west southwest at 15 knots for the western Arctic coast.